So starting by settling our bodies in our comfortable meditation posture. So if you're at home, hopefully you have a cushion or a comfortable chair to sit on. And if you're on a chair, you can sit not leaning back against the chair, straight up with your feet planted on the floor. And if you're on a meditation cushion, you can sit right at the edge of that cushion and make sure your knees are falling below the hips, not raised above the hips. So you may need to add an extra cushion for that, which helps the blood circulation continue to flow during a long sitting practice. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a Shamatha practice, a mindfulness of breath, which is a focusing practice, stabilizing the mind, before we go deep into our insight practice, Vipassana. And so after that practice, I will give people a 60-second break in case you need to stretch a little bit, stand up, especially for beginners who are not used to sitting for longer periods of time. If you are, you can just continue your Shamatha practice during those 60 seconds. But just in case you wish to stretch a little bit before we go into the insight practice, the equanimity practice. So just giving you a heads up about that. Try not to look at your phone or anything or talk to people during that time. It'll just be to stretch yourself, refresh the mind before we begin the second part of the meditation. So going through the 7-point posture, the Vairochana posture to begin with, our legs are crossed, either in a half lotus, one leg on top of the other, or a full lotus position, if that's comfortable, not necessary. Or if neither of those are comfortable, or if you have knee issues, you can simply sit in regular cross-legged position. Our back is straight. This is very important to allow prana to flow throughout the body and not get trapped in one place. So you can visualize a string running through your spine and up through the crown of your head, pulling you up very gently, straightening the spine, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the muscles around the shoulders. And also naturally tilting the head a little bit downwards so that your neck is tucked in about 45 degrees. Our hands are resting either in our laps, in the meditation mudra, which is the right palm inside the left palm, on top of the left palm, and the thumbs touching in a teardrop shape. Or you can simply rest your hands on your knees, face up or face down. Make sure your elbows are also slightly away from the body to allow air to flow through, which helps keep us alert during the meditation. Now moving to the face, our gaze is about 2 meters on the floor in front of us. Eyes can be cracked open to let a little bit of light in, especially if we're feeling drowsy this morning. This can help us stay alert during the meditation. Not looking at anything, just an absent gaze. A crack to allow some light open through the eyes. If that feels too distracting for you, you can also keep your eyes gently shut as well. Our jaw should be loose, not clenched. And our tongue resting on the upper palate, just behind that top row of teeth, to prevent saliva from forming, causing further distraction in the meditation. And finally, you can put a little smile on your face and allow all those facial muscles that hold so much tension to relax. Take a moment to do a quick body scan through the posture, ensuring you are relaxed, most importantly, but also feeling stable, balanced in your posture. And your chest open a little in a posture of confidence, welcoming, warmth. Shoulders relaxed, neck elongated, but spine perfectly straight. Now we begin with our motivation, the most important part of the meditation, some people say. Without a motivation, it's like trying to plant a seed in the concrete on a sidewalk. Nothing will grow there. The motivation is like the soil, fertile soil, to plant a seed in, so that it can grow through our meditation practice. So to cultivate our motivation, I'm going to read to you some verses from Shantideva, contemplating on various kinds of people and the nature of samsara. Which will give us motivation, deepen our motivation to practice and to be of benefit to people. So Shantideva talks about some people who are wretched in their great desire, but worn out by their day-long work. They go home broken by fatigue, to sleep the slumbers of a corpse. Some, wearied by their travels far from home, must suffer separation from their wives and children whom they love and long to see. They do not meet with them for years on end. Some, ambitious for prosperity, not knowing how to get it, sell themselves. Happiness eludes their grasp, and pointlessly they live and labor for their masters. Some sell themselves, no longer free, in bondage, slavery to others. And destitute, their wives give birth, with only trees for shelter in the wild. Fools, deceived by craving for a livelihood, decide that they will make their fortune in the wars, though fearful for their lives. And seeking gain, it's slavery they get. Some, as a result of craving, have their bodies slashed, impaled on pointed stakes. Some are wounded, run through by the lance, the sword, while some are put to death by fire. The pain of gaining, keeping, and losing all. See the endless hardships brought on us by property. For those distracted by their love of wealth, there is no chance for freedom from the sorrows of existence. So take a moment to contemplate these verses and feel within you a desire to benefit others, to liberate others from this hopeless, helpless wheel of samsara. And how can we benefit these people? How can we benefit sentient beings on the path to liberation from samsara? It all begins, Lama Yeshe says, with training our own mind. In the Mahayana tradition, we cultivate Bodhichitta, the mind of awakening. This is a mind that has clear wisdom, that knows the nature of reality, both conventional and ultimate, that knows the nature of suffering, that knows the aggregates, that knows all phenomena. It's this mind that knows ultimate wisdom, cultivated through compassion and loving kindness, that we can use to benefit people, any sentient beings, animals, beings in other realms even. And so allow in you a desire to keep practicing, to train our minds. In this precious human life, we've come into touch with the Dharma. We've met the Buddha Dharma in this life, which is so, so, so rare. Which they say like a yolk that's floating in the ocean, a little ring. And there's a turtle also in the ocean somewhere. And the chances of that turtle coming up for air and poking its head exactly through that ring, that's the probability of a precious human life. And considering all this, make a very clear motivation in your mind. I want to practice. I want to attain enlightenment and Bodhichitta for the benefit of all beings. Not just for myself, not just my own awakening or my own peace of mind, for the benefit of all beings around me. Just like the Bodhisattvas who keep returning to this world to help sentient beings. Take a few minutes to contemplate your own motivation. And now we move to our stabilizing practice, taking the breath as our object. So you can watch the breath either at your abdomen as it rises and falls, or by resting your attention at the very tip of your nostrils and observing the sensations that the breath forms there. That one is a slightly more subtle object. And the abdomen is a slightly more grounding, more on a gross level. So very gently rest your attention on this object. And allow your mind to settle its attention there. Just like an observer, not changing the breath in any way, but just watching it and trying to stay present with it. And if your mind wanders away, which it probably will, just gently bring it back again and again. Not beating yourself up about it, just remembering the object again and again. So continue this stabilizing practice on your own in silence for the next 8 or 10 minutes. Bringing the mind back again and again. No matter how many times it wanders off. So only if you need to, you can take 60 seconds to stretch your legs, take a sip of water. Otherwise, please stay with the breath. Before we move onwards to our analytical meditation. So settling back into your posture, making sure your spine is still straight, your muscles still relaxed. We're now going to briefly contemplate theoretically the practice of exchanging and equalizing self and others in Shantideva's words before we do a practice, before we close with a practice in equanimity. So this is one of the foundational practices, one of the two methods for cultivating Bodhichitta. And Shantideva says, strive to meditate upon the sameness of yourself and others. In joy and sorrow, all are equal. Thus be guardian of all, as of yourself. Really contemplate on these words as you hear them. The hand and other limbs are many and distinct, but all are one, the body, to be kept and guarded. Likewise, different beings in their joys and sorrows are, like me, all one in wanting happiness. And then he says, the drop of sperm and blood belong to others. Yet through strong habituation, I have come to regard it in a sense of I, though in itself it is devoid of entity. So by sperm and blood, he's talking about our parents, from whom we came from. A little bit from the mother and a little bit from the father. And so he asks, where did I cultivate the sense of a separate I? In itself, it is devoid of entity. Who is this I? And he asks, and so why not identify another's body, somebody else's body, calling it I? Why don't I call other people I? My friends, family, strangers, if I myself have come from others? And vice versa, why should it be hard to think of this, my own body, as another's? Maybe only if we're parents, we can truly see that, a part of us in another person, but otherwise we don't see that interconnectedness of things. We see myself as separate, and you as separate. So he says, why should it be hard to think of my own body as another's? Really think about this one. Try to identify, where is that sense of I? Who is I? And is it really separate from everyone else? And in the same way, try to imagine others as myself. So he says, therefore, just as I defend myself from even the slightest disparagement, in just the same way, with regard to others, I should likewise have a mind protective and compassionate. So just as I defend myself against criticism or blame, I should also be protective and compassionate towards others, considering that they are also myself. So Shantideva says, if I do not interchange my happiness for others' pain, enlightenment will never be attained. And even in samsara, joy will fly away from me. Leaving future lives outside the reckoning. So even if we do not believe in future lives, even this life's needs are not fulfilled. The servants do not do their work, and the masters do not pay the wages earned. For example, something simple we can practice in daily life is in a material sense, even if not pain. We can think, as Shantideva says in verse 125, if I give this, what will be left for me? I think we think that often. If I give this away, this piece of chocolate, my last piece of chocolate, what will be left for me? And he says, thinking of oneself is the way of the evil ghosts. On the flip side, he says we should think, if I keep this, what will be left to give? If I keep this piece of chocolate for myself, what will I give to someone else? He says, concern for others is the way of heaven. Think about this very simple practice. And then we can also take our practice to a more emotional level, to a deeper level. Shantideva says in verses 162 and 163, when others are at fault, I'll take and turn the blame upon myself. And all my sins, however slight, declare and make them known to many. The fame of others I will magnify, that it might even outshine my own. Among them, I will be the one who serves, my lowly labor for their benefit. The fame of others I will magnify, that it might thus outshine my own. Among them, I will be the one who serves, my lowly labor for their benefit. This is similar, reminds us of the 8 verses of training the mind, the famous 8 verses, which is also a very good practice for equalizing an exchange of self and others. This training of the mind. We don't have to see ourselves as inferior to others, as everybody else is superior to us. If we have an inferiority complex, for example, it doesn't mean that everybody else is better and more important. But typically, the ego acts in a way of feeling superior to others. And so this way that Shantideva talks in terms of their fame outshining my own. When others are at fault, I'll take the blame upon myself. It's a way of taming that ego that typically thinks of oneself as more important than others. in one very important verse. Dust and ashes are the body's final state. Dust and ashes are the body's final state. This body which, inert, is moved by other forces. This form, so frightening and foul, why do I regard it as myself? This body which is moved by other forces is so frightening and foul. Why do I keep clinging to it as myself? This is me. Think about that for a minute. Therefore, just as you identify a drop of others' blood and sperm and cling to it as though it were yourself, now take sentient beings, others, as yourself. Therefore, just as you identify a drop of another's blood and sperm and cling to it as though it were yourself, now take sentient beings, take others as yourself. So with that, we move into an actual practice of equanimity. Again, a very foundational practice. Even among the four immeasurables, equanimity is seen as the foundation of the other three. So begin by taking a person whom you consider to be a friend. And if you've already done this practice with Kyabje in the last sessions, try to pick somebody else this time, some new people, to keep furthering your practice. Bring to mind a loved one, somebody whom loves you, who you very dearly love. Not too complicated of a relationship. And think about their suffering in their life, along with their happiness. The things that they do to stay happy, the things that cause them pain. And notice how this person, just like myself, wants to be happy and wants to be free of pain and suffering. And now keep them to the side and bring to mind somebody who's very neutral to you, a stranger, whom you have no strong feelings towards or against. Either the person who comes to take out your trash, the person who works at the store nearby, a delivery boy, somebody you noticed on the metro today. Bring them to mind and also contemplate the suffering that they might be going through in their lives. Their home situation that we have no idea about. Maybe she doesn't have parents anymore, or is ostracized from her family. Or maybe she can't give birth. Maybe he has trouble bringing food home every day. And think about their desire to be happy, to have food to eat and clothes to wear, just like any of us. They're actually quite similar to me in that sense. And now put this person also to the side and bring to mind somebody who causes you pain to think about or to interact with. Doesn't have to be somebody you know personally. Could be a political figure. Try to make it somebody not your worst enemy in this life. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, around a 5 or a 6. And bring them to mind in front of you and contemplate these same things of the things that might make them happy or the things that might cause them pain. Even some things that they might do that cause people harm or inflict pain on others may just be out of that very same desire to be happy and to be free of suffering. Don't worry if this becomes difficult. It's okay for it to be difficult. Just try to notice how there's actually not much difference, very, very deep down, between me and this person either. This person that I consider so hateful, that I despise so much. Actually, we both want exactly the same things. And now bring to the front of your mind all three people: the friend, the stranger, the enemy. And notice how they are all three, including myself, exactly the same deep down. One just happens to be a friend to me, and because I like them, and one of them may have caused me pain, so I don't like them anymore. But tomorrow, the same friend could betray me, could lie, or could cheat maybe, could just stop being my friend, and suddenly I despise them. Suddenly they've become my enemy. And the stranger who sells me groceries at the store maybe one day gives me a free pack of biscuits along with my groceries. And suddenly I'm so happy. They're my best friend. I look at them like an idol now, a god. And they were just nobody yesterday. And then the enemy could also one day help me out. Maybe I drop something on the floor and they pick something up for me and it surprises me. And suddenly my heart is softening to them. So how trivial these labels are. It just has to do with what I feel, whether I like them or not. It has nothing to do with them, the person themselves. It has no objective basis. And we can see that all these beings are the same as me in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. And it's just in the confusion of the mind that sometimes this results in some negative consequences, which even I myself must have done at some point in trying to get something I want. I end up causing somebody else harm. Of course, I've done that. And so have all those other people. So rather than criticizing the other constantly, I should look at myself and observe myself. Take that energy that's always going outwards to label people and instead train my own mind. As the Harmakirti says, the Buddha is the same towards someone applying scented water to the one side of his body and someone else slicing him with a sword on the other. Take a last couple minutes to rest in this feeling of equanimity, freedom from attachment to some and aversion to others. Rest in equanimity towards all sentient beings. from the cockroaches in your bathroom to your best friends. Now we do our dedications for our practice, dedicating the little merit and virtue we've created together today in this practice. So first and foremost, dedicating to all those people in Syria and Turkey devastated by this natural disaster, as the death toll crosses 25,000 and millions more displaced and homeless. Dedicating to their well-being and safety. This is an event that will be, even if they survived, life-changing for most people in that area. And so as we dedicate to them, we can breathe out white light towards them. Visualize it pouring down through the crowns of their heads. Breathe out this pure white light from your heart center. Also dedicating to others suffering due to natural disasters across the globe, to those living in war zones, in oppression, starvation, pollution. May their suffering end quickly. Again, still breathing out white light towards them. Also to our precious teachers and their long and healthy lives. May we continue to meet them again and again and again. And we also request that they keep returning to help sentient beings until samsara ends. Including our very own teacher Kyabje, whose birthday is tomorrow. Also dedicating to our landlady, Tushita's landlady, who's kindly given us this center space, Brahma Bhandari, and to her health and long life. To Vanita Saxena and her happiness, Kabirji's aunt. To Pushpa Arora and her speedy recovery back to health. You can also think about anybody else you wish to dedicate to here. And finally, to our own projects, FBMT projects, Root Institute, and our own Tushita Center in Delhi. May it continue to benefit many, many people in the Delhi NCR area and beyond.